Welcome to day 227 of TFIF 365. And today is going to be your first lesson in when we talk about managing a coalition of the wounded. And the first lesson is how to apologize. Because we still don't know how to do that. Particularly when we're talking about supremacy-free, coercion-free, discrimination-free, and exploitation-free, we have to come at this apologies like everything else in a different way. An apology has several points, and most of y'all just missed them all, particularly the last point. When you, again, as I said, this is a coalition of the wounded. Folks are going to be figuring this out. People are going to make mistakes. So as I'm seeing now, some of the, I'm not going to call them instigators, but that's the word that's coming to my mind, and I don't agree with that. I don't think they were instigators. Some of these young people who weren't, now there are some who are obviously chaos agents and have no desire to be respectful, whatever that means to them and whatever that means to the person and the people they're talking to. No, they believe in their own supremacy. They're definitely playing around with anti-Blackness. They're definitely taking a deep dive, actually, into anti-Blackness. And yet I've seen one young person who was at the center of the pro-Palestine against Black U.S. citizens kerfuffle, recognize through a lot of being called out the harms that she caused. And this is why I just posted again, we need to be careful. When we want to talk about Black people, we cannot say people of color, because people of color, a person of color, is everybody that's not white. And everybody that's not white also does not have the lived experience of anti-Blackness. Everybody has a lived experience of being anti-Black, right? Even Black people, we need to also address our own internalized white supremacy and anti-Blackness, because we've been indoctrinated in the same systems, institutions, and policies as mediocre, unremarkable white folks who benefit at the because they're the who benefit at the expense of other people. That is just that reality. We've all, I mean, look at how, and this is not just a U.S. thing, because everywhere in the world, particularly if there was a conqueror and a conquered, history books, the narratives of how things happen, the person who's, there's this adage, and I don't even know how to say it properly, but it's basically whoever wins the war gets to tell the story about the war, right? So we've all have internalized white supremacy and anti-Blackness that we need to deal with. Only Black people, though, are targeted. We might also, we exhibit it, but we're the only ones who are targeted. We're the only ones who are harmed, or the direct, because I was about to say harmed by, but that's not it. We all are harmed by anti-Blackness, period, because it fucks up the coalitions. So as you can see, as I talk, I process what I'm saying. But when we're talking about Black people, we need to be mindful not to do this whole thing of people of color. We're talking about Black women. I don't default to women of color. So it's just, if you're talking about a Black woman, say Black woman. Don't say people of color or women of color. So that's that caveat. And I wanted to get that out there. But going back to this apology thing, y'all fuck this up every time. And so what I'm going to do, because supremacy, coercion, discrimination, exploitation free dictates that I move a different way, I'm going to extend this individual grace, because I understand, as I've been saying, every youth group is revolutionary. Every youth group is you cannot say every youth group is educated. We can't say that. Is informed. We can't say that. So I'm going to extend grace to that. What I want to talk about and what I want to highlight is the non-apology apology. And how do we get over this? An apology is not, I'm sorry how that made you feel. That was not my intent. Things got out of hand. Anything along those lines. This is an apology. Step 1, acknowledge that you harm the person. Step 2, articulate an understanding of how you harmed that person. I need you to tell me so you understand what because so often people are like, I'm sorry for what? Specifically, what are you sorry for? I need you to be able to articulate, because that tells me that you've done the work necessary to finish this whole process that I'm talking about, right? So you're going to articulate what you did. And then you're going to give them an opportunity to say yay or nay, right? Yes, that is what happened. No, you're missing this part, all right? And then once that's hashed, it is about, again, the person who's apologizing, reiterating that, okay, even if we had to, that's not, okay, so this is, I now understand what I did that caused harm. Now I need you to understand the harm you caused, how that impacted somebody. They could have, in school situations, let's say you're cheating off them and both of you get caught and both people are seen as guilty when they're not. And then both of them have the consequences. So you need to go rectify that. You need to make sure you understand that. And that's the last part about this. And I'm sorry or an apology without a strategy for making amends for the harm you caused means nothing to me. Nothing to me. Because what you need to do, an apology is an olive branch. I don't have to take it until you show me that you understand what the fuck you did and you have no intention of doing that shit again. Because that is the problem. Without all of this, all you're going to do is repeat it. And so that's why oh my God, I've been in relationships where motherfuckers keep doing the same shit over and over again. I'm like, what the fuck? Oh, I know why. Because we did not get an understanding of what the fuck they did, how their understanding of the harm they caused, as well as an amends, which means they're never going to do it, but how are they going to repair the harm? So if you're not talking about all that, your apology is hollow. Your apology is for you. And so again, we have to make sure that you understand just because you apologize does not mean I have to forgive you and let you back in my life. Or I could forgive you and still not let you back in my life or in my community or whatever, because you've demonstrated that you can cause harm. Until you demonstrate that you can be safe, I have no allegiance or no requirement to accept your apology and let you back in my space. So think about that when we're talking about the coalition of the wounded. We are all going to do it because we're all walking wounded. But how do we effectively and with the word girth is coming out of my mouth, but that's not with the girth behind it, but with something behind it that lets the person know that you genuinely get what you did. And that even if you don't do it to me again, you won't do it to another person because you understand what the fuck you did and why it was wrong. So, I'm sorry without an understanding of what you did, an agreement on what you did, and a strategy for making amends, and a demonstrated consistent history of that amends, you're not doing anything. So, I hope that helps. Until tomorrow, peace. Become a sustaining sponsor at kimcreighton.com/support-the-work and help make this work happen.